Welcome back, everyone. Let's talk about another terrifying Bible verse. Today we're going to turn to the book of James, chapter 4 and verse 17. James 4:17 says, "Therefore, to the one who knows the right thing to do and does not do it, to him it is a sin." Let me read that again. "Therefore, to one who knows the right thing to do and does not do it, to him it is sin." Did you know that the Bible said that? Is that your definition of sin? I'll be honest, that wasn't the definition of sin that I was taught growing up, and honestly, that's not how I hear sin talked about and described within all the many churches that I've been a part of over the years. Everyone knows that sin is doing bad things. Things like lying and cheating, and stealing, or committing adultery or murder. We all know that's what sin is, doing bad things. And to those of us that perhaps consider ourselves a little more mature within our Christian walk, we would include things like envy and gossip and gluttony or slander or being divisive. We would add that to our list of bad things that we also don't want to do. Therefore, we won't sin. But James here in chapter 4, James pulls the rug out from under all of us. And he changes the definition of sin with his statement. It's not like he says it's not a sin to do those bad things. He's not saying that it's okay to do those bad things. That's not how he redefines sin. That still applies. We should not do those bad things. But he expands the definition. And he adds that not doing the things I know I should do, that's also a sin. To him it is sin. And so he widens and he expands this definition of sin. And I don't know about you, but for me, when I add this component to the definition of sin, I've got a problem. You see, because not doing bad things is really not an issue for me. I was raised in a family who taught me that, and I either was born with a guilty conscience or it was developed into me as I grew up, but not doing bad things has been how I've lived my life. But now James says, but not doing the good things you know you should do, that's also a sin. And when I add that component, my list of sins gets much longer, perhaps even frighteningly long, because there's things I don't get around to doing. I don't make the effort to do that I know that I should be doing. And James says, well, guess what? Those are sins too. So my list of bad things is very small, and then when it comes to not doing the good things I know I should do, my list of sins really expands. It really expands. Now, we probably have a tendency to say to ourselves, well, but doing bad things, that's a sin, that's a different category of sin than not doing something that you know you should do. Let's not conflate those two. That's a different level of sin. Who told you that? And where's that in the Bible? I haven't found that in the Bible at all. James doesn't categorize it. He says if you don't do what you know you're supposed to do, it's a sin. It's not a second level or third level sin. He says it's a sin. I'll tell you what I do find in the Bible. I find in the Bible that sin separates me from God. And if I'm separated from God, I will not experience His love and His grace and His mercy and His salvation. If I'm separated from God, I will not experience heaven. And now I start to get terrified when I think about this verse and its implications on me. That's why this verse makes the list of terrifying verses for me, because it starts to tell me where my future might lie, and it's not a future that I want. James says, "So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is sin." Think about that. Does that terrify you like it does me? It sure makes me sit up and pay attention. It really does. It makes me sit up and pay attention. In our next video, we're going to look at a verse. We're going to talk about a verse that says God does something for us in the same measure that we do it for others. That could be a good thing or that could be a terrifying thing. We'll take that up in the next video. I hope to see you then.